Beers with Chad.
Hey everybody, what is up? Chad Wesley Smith here, another episode. Beers with Chad was a big sports weekend. I'm going to be recapping, giving you my reactions to UFC 228 and week 1 of the NFL season. But first, I am drinking a Fantastic Voyage by Connecticut Valley Brewing Company. Hazy IPA, you know, all the rage these days. So cheers to all you fine people out there. That is a very good beer. So yeah, let's just hop right into it. UFC 228, one of the most exciting UFC cards you could really hope to see. On paper, I don't think it was one that you looked at and thought, you know, wow, there's a lot of big names on there. There's a lot of, you know, these huge, great matchups. The co-main event fell apart kind of interestingly on the day before. I'm, to be honest, still not 100% sure what happened there. I really think that that girl just didn't want to fight Shevchenko and decided that she'd rather not get her money and not get her ass kicked. But Woodley Till, you know, the headlining event, and as there's been a lot of discussion of, Tyron Woodley is not, you know, the most loved, the most popular UFC fighter around. But if you watched the FX card and the pay-per-view card, there was only one fight on all of those, out of those 8 or 9 fights that went to decision. And I think that is what people love to see, particularly, you know, more casual fight fans. But that's what's most exciting most exciting to watch, and that's what happened. And it happened in a variety of ways. It happened via submissions. It happened via knockouts, kicks, and punches. You know, for myself, as I'm coming up on 1 year of jiu-jitsu, I think I have more appreciation now for seeing those submissions happen, and submissions that you don't really see happen in MMA very often. Aljamain Sterling, who was on the FX card, had an incredible. I mean, just looking at the guy, you could see this dude, triangle machine. He's got a long, thin legs like barbed wire. He almost caught him in a triangle earlier, and then had this incredible, you know, back take to knee bar. And he was talking after about how he's the human backpack and all this stuff. So that was crazy to see. Hopefully, you know, his opponent is able to heal his knee up soon. And then you see Zabit, who I'm not even going to give his last name a shot, also with a very impressive leg attack, more of like a hamstring based submission on that one. I'm not exactly even sure what it was called, but John Donaher would be proud. They entered the system, leg attacks, and really, you know, pushing the submission and BJJ game in MMA that much further. I think probably opening some other people's eyes to what is possible. Then you got to see incredible power from a big number of fighters there throughout the whole FX and pay-per-view card. Stewart, Neal, Suarez, who just smothered her opponent the whole time, Al-Hassan and Andrade, huge knockouts. You know, the Neal Camacho fight was pretty crazy. Neal almost finished it at the end of the first round. Camacho gets saved by the bell, and Neal's just sticking him all throughout the second round, and you can see Camacho getting bloodied. And then he had that kind of burst off the fence and was flexing and yelling, and then he was unconscious about 30 seconds later. That head kick that Neal landed on Camacho, if you follow Beers with Chad on Instagram, please do, at Beers with Chad. You can see that I had posted in my story that I had a real concern if Camacho was going to stand up from that. Like that was a scary moment because he was getting battered before that, and then a huge head kick, and out before he even hit the ground. Al Hassan, crazy power. He was talking about that he felt disrespected by Price in the weigh-in, and showed that he is not a man that you want to disrespect. Andrade, some of the most powerful, one of the most powerful punches you'll see in women's MMA. And then finally to the main event, Tyron Woodley versus the undefeated, brash, young 25-year-old from Liverpool, Darren Till. Second round finish via Darce choke, gets his jiu-jitsu black belt in the ring. And I think in doing that, Tyron Woodley showed what he's truly capable of. He showed what so many of the other great, long-time, multi-time defending their championship UFC champions, like Demetrius Johnson, like George St. Pierre, like Daniel Cormier, have shown, and that is versatility. This was his first submission in the UFC. So, he's known for this incredible striking power, but people forget he was a two-time All-American wrestler. And now people know that when he goes to the ground, you don't just need to watch for the ground and pound, you better watch your neck. He really overwhelmed Till with his wrestling, with his power and ferocity on the ground, dropping those elbows on him, and then kind of just snuck off of one of those elbows, snuck his arm behind his head for the Darce choke. And people knew that he was a great striker. They knew that Till was a great striker, and that Till had some kickboxing, but clearly an advantage as a wrestler and as a grappler on the ground for Tyron Woodley. And that's hopefully going to push Darren Till to develop more well-rounded game, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes from there. I think it's got to be Woodley versus Covington next. I know Woodley was pushing for it really as soon as possible, maybe even UFC 230 or 231, but I think within 2018 you will see Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington, and it's going to be great because they're going to hate each other. They're going to talk a bunch of shit. Colby Covington is a prick, but they're both very well-rounded. I thought Covington's performance against RDA was tremendous, and I was rooting against Covington very, very hard. RDA trains at the same jiu-jitsu school as I do, Gracie Baja headquarters in Irvine, California, coached by my coach, Felipe De La Monica. But Covington was very, very impressive, and though Woodley is the champ for a reason, that's going to be a great battle, and I think a great lead up to it as well. So moving on to the NFL, the CWS six-pack, 3-3 for the first week. I took a couple of bold predictions in choosing the Texans to beat the Patriots and choosing the Giants to beat the Jaguars. You got to go out on a limb and keep it interesting sometimes. So we'll get into just my big takeaways from the week. First up, Aaron Rodgers is clearly the most valuable player to his team in the NFL. If that's what being the MVP means, is that you're the most important player to your own team and you're the most important to your team's success, he is that far and away, and that game perfectly encapsulated it. Without him, down by 20, with him, win. Just a dime to Geronimo Allison. So calm and cool, even though Kyle Fuller did save him a bit on that winning drive. Now, with the knee injury, yes, he's the team's most valuable player, but he may be set back now for the entire year based on that knee injury. And with the Vikings in week 2, Aaron Rodgers, at the time that I'm recording this, has an uncertain status as to whether he'll play week 2 or not. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I don't want Aaron Rodgers to play week 2. Frankly, the Packers will probably, even if Aaron Rodgers plays and is less than 100% particularly, they'll probably lose to the Vikings, who are an incredibly well-rounded team with a great defensive line, with great defensive backs, with a physical running game, with excellent wide receivers, with a very good quarterback. A much, much better roster all around than the Packers. They'll probably lose, even if Aaron Rodgers plays. So what's the point of putting Aaron Rodgers out there to get hit by Danielle Hunter, to get hit by Everson Griffin, and Harrison Smith coming on safety blitzes and all that stuff, and to allow this knee injury to linger on another week, which it's not going to get better by playing. And if he has that 1 week off, maybe now he's back to 90-95% and can go through the next 14 games after that without it being an issue. Or maybe he plays and they lose, or even if they win, but the knee stays at 60-70%, and it just becomes this lingering thing throughout the entire year. So while every NFL game is important, it really is just one game. I think they're better off sit Aaron Rodgers this week. The Vikings, I know it's a division game, but the Vikings were probably going to beat you anyways. Let Aaron Rodgers be as healthy as he can be heading into week 3 and just go from there. The Vikings, like I said, the Vikings roster is excellent. Khalil Mack, certainly for the Bears, showed that he is incredible and worth all the draft picks and everything that the Bears gave up to get him, with the best stat line for a defensive player since Khalil Mack. So that was exciting to see. I think the Bears are pretty good. They have 2 very good running backs. They have a solid receiving core. Trubisky can do some positive things. He can move around well. He can make some throws. He's not going to be throwing for 300 yards a game, but if you've got a great defense, if you've got a very good running game, he just needs to do a good job. And in that being game 1 with Matt Nagy, I think the Bears should be excited about their season. The other quarterback that people are raving about after week 1, Pat Mahomes, took it to the Los Angeles Chargers pretty good, throwing for 4 touchdowns. He's just got a cannon. And the Chiefs' offense looked amazing. And when the other time the Chiefs' offense looked amazing was? The beginning of last year. They were incredible, and then as the year went, they weren't quite as sharp, and then the playoffs came and they did what Andy Reid teams seem to so often do. They didn't perform. And maybe people want to put that on Alex Smith and say that Alex Smith couldn't push the ball down the field, and if Pat Mahomes can do anything, it is certainly push the ball down the field. He has an absolute cannon. So if that was the missing piece that kept the Chiefs from getting over the hump last year, well then, all those questions are answered by Pat Mahomes' cannon right arm. But I've seen the Chiefs look great before, and I've seen them fade as the weather gets colder and the games get more important. So we'll see how they do. I love watching the Chiefs offense. It's super creative. Tyreek Hill, amazing to watch. Kareem Hunt, stud. Travis Kelce is a stud. Very, very exciting team to watch, but we'll see how they progress. I've seen them look bad before, or I've seen them start great and get worse. And as I've seen the Chargers start terribly and get better and better. But we'll see there. What the Chargers can't have that they did in that game is drops. So many drops by excellent receiving group. So they got to give Phillip Rivers some more help. Otherwise, in the AFC West, it's going to be a tough division. The Chiefs are obviously very good. The Chargers are very talented, and I think will be very good. The Broncos, who were terrible last year, are still going to be a tough team because they have Von Miller, because they added Bradley Chubb. They have great corners with Chris Harris. They can they're gonna be tough to score on just based on those defensive players. And then Case Keenum is, a good offensive player with some good wide receivers in Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. So he's not going to make the mistakes that the guys were making last year. So the Broncos are going to be a tough out. And the Raiders had some moments last night on Monday Night Football. I don't think are going to win too many games. Maybe they're a 5-6 win team. But they've got some talented players on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see how John Gruden develops that throughout the year. Now, the Cowboys. What the hell, Cowboys? Like I said the other week, growing up, I had Dallas Cowboys posters up on my wall. My best friend is from Dallas. He's a diehard Cowboys fan, and he's dying hard watching the Cowboys in week 1 display absolutely no offensive creativity and really have no offensive identity. That you're supposed to be this incredible offensive line, and yes, they're missing Travis Frederick as he deals with his health issues, but you've still got Zach Martin, you've still got Tyron Smith, you've still got Lyle Collins, and you only give Zeke the ball 15 times. If you have a great offensive line and a great running back with a very average or below average receivers group, why not give him 20 carries? Why not give him 25 carries? Why not allow that to open up what I think needs to be, the MO of the Cowboys offense is running the ball, play action, creative play action, boot action, get Dak in the gun, give him some RPO looks, let Dak move. He's an athletic guy, he can throw on the run, and in doing that, it's going to allow for you to use Tavon Austin, extremely talented gadget player, in some creative ways. It's going to allow Colt Beasley to be used in some more creative ways. It's going to allow these receivers like Allen Hurns and Cole Beasley, who just aren't great receivers, get them in different motions and coming out of the slot so they can get cleaner releases. It was very frustrating to watch the Cowboys. They do have an excellent defensive line. They have very good athletic linebackers. Fingers crossed that Sean Lee stays healthy this year. They're going to have a tough defense. But they've got, 8 points. 8 points. Very, very frustrating to watch them. The Panthers looked good. They did some things well. McCaffrey can do some good stuff. CJ Anderson, and he can be a good complement to each other. Cam Newton's running was tremendous, and people always say, well, a quarterback can't run that much in the NFL. Yeah, but none of those quarterbacks they're talking about are 6'6", 245 pounds. Might as well be tight ends or defensive ends like Cam Newton. Where the Panthers are really going to struggle is the offensive line. Already, they had a couple of guys on IR. They had another offensive lineman go out with an injury. The Panthers, in that tough NFC South, those offensive line health issues could really be problematic for them. But we'll see. They've got a good defense. They can run the ball. They've got a quarterback who can make plays in multiple ways. Also in the NFC South, the shock of the weekend, ruining pick'em leagues across the nation, were the Bucks. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, 48 points. There is no one in the world who could have told you with a straight face on Saturday or on Sunday morning that Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Bucks were going to go in and beat the Saints. Not a chance in hell, but they did it. I don't know what that says about the Saints. I'd like to think it's just a bad game, but we'll see. You're only as good as your last game, so that's how good the Saints are right now. Can Ryan Fitzpatrick take Jameis Winston's job? Jameis is suspended for 2 more games. If the Bucks are 3-0 when it's time for Jameis Winston to come off that suspension, they have to keep going with Ryan Fitzpatrick. If they're 2-1, I think that you have to keep going with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would have picked the Bucks to be in the bottom 5 of the league And yeah, could they lose 15 games in a row now? Sure, they definitely could. But if Fitzpatrick's doing it, if he's a more cohesive force in that locker room, then stick with him. I don't think that they would do well to feel that they are married to Jameis Winston. I didn't like that draft pick when they got him. Not that he's not a talented football player, but when all the debate was of Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota, yeah, Jameis was a better quarterback, but I think had at the time such a greater possibility, and that's now coming to fruition, a greater possibility to be this destructive force within the franchise. And that's what Jameis Winston is proving to be last year on with this suspension. So we'll see. NFC South is going to be tough. Mentioned Marcus Mariota in there. He went out of week 1 with an injury. Delaney Walker for the Titans is going to be out for the year. That's really, really going to hurt the Titans' chances to return to the playoffs in the AFC South, which was a bit of a mixed bag. I'd pick the Texans to beat the Patriots. I was trying to make this sexy, different kind of Super Bowl pick with the Texans. And is it too late to take that back already? What I love about the Texans is, Deshaun Watson when he's playing well, which he showed so many times last year, he's fantastic. They've got some really talented receivers. Lamar Miller in the backfield, tremendous talent defensively with J.J. Watt finally being healthy, Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless, guys who can really get after the quarterback, which is such the great equalizer of the NFL. Just ask those Super Bowl Giants teams, just ask that Broncos team that won the Super Bowl with a very aged Peyton Manning. If you can get after the passer, then you can win football games. I think the Texans can do that. The AFC South, the Jaguars, I still think take a step back from last year. I'm interested to see if this issue with Leonard Fournette, the hamstring thing, becomes just nagging throughout the year. Sometimes those injuries are tough to deal with. Hopefully their athletic training and their strength and conditioning staff do a good job dealing with that. They just don't have the guys to throw it to. Their defense is awesome. I love watching it. I love watching them talk trash and back it up. But AFC South is going to be a tough one. The Colts don't have a lot of very good players on their team, but they do have a very good quarterback, which will win you a couple games. Sam Darnold, last night, Monday Night Football, Jets-Lions, first play of the game, rolls way out to his right, and they try and run this big throwback play, throw it back across the field for a pick six. My heart sank for Sam Darnold in that moment. Sam Darnold is an Orange County guy, where I live here in Southern California. He went to San Clemente High School. In Orange County, we've produced a lot of quarterbacks, and a lot of them have been pretty bad in the NFL, with the exception of Carson Palmer. We've had highly touted guys like Matt Leinart, like Mark Sanchez, like Matt Barkley, who just haven't gone on to very, very successful careers. And when I saw that pick six happen on his first play, I was like, no, Sam Darnold, not you too. But Sam Darnold showed after that the thing that everyone loves about Sam Darnold coming out is he's got this poise and cool and confidence that he doesn't get rattled by things like that. He was upset, of course, but he shook it off fast. He went on to a 144 quarterback rating the rest of the game. You take that one throw out, 144 quarterback rating. The Jets blasted the Lions. They had very, very physical running game, excellent defensive play. The Jets are going to battle for an AFC wildcard spot. Last year, everyone thought that the Jets were going to be the number one pick in the draft, and people were buying Sam Darnold jerseys, last year or getting them made because they thought that the Jets were going to win one or two games and it was going to be them and the Browns for that number one spot. And then the Jets turned out to be, not bad, and they won like five games. And this year, I think they're going to take another step forward. The AFC is not a great conference. I could see, it being late in the year and the Jets being at 8 wins, maybe 9 wins, maybe grabbing a wild card spot. Sam Darnold, very, very exciting first game for him. Good luck to Orange County's own Sam Darnold. Finally, the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams versus the Oakland Raiders. And the Rams are my Super Bowl pick. They were my Super Bowl pick. I'm going to be rooting for the Rams all year. Got to spend some time with them during training camp with their strength and conditioning staff. Ted Rath, Eddie Gray are great guys. See what the Rams culture was about. See, Sean McVay in action, coaching those guys up. The Rams didn't really play any of their guys in the preseason, so let's look at the first half against the Raiders as the Rams preseason game. And then the second half came and they just put it on the Raiders. So much fun to watch their offense. That first touchdown with Gurley on the little shovel pass coming on the fly action. The way that they use Cooper Kupp on those different jet sweeps. Brandon Cooks is giving them a new dimension. Gurley is just a beast, inside, outside, whatever way you want to use him. Jared Goff looked very calm, cool, and collected, throwing the ball very well. And on defense, Marcus Peters already paying dividends. The defensive line was not the dominant force that I expected it to be with Sue and Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers. Brockers did have 1 sack. Sue had a couple tackles for loss. But as the year goes, I think that you will see the most vicious combination possible in defense is what the Rams have. Great corners, Talib and Peters, who can play man-to-man, allowing the defense and Wade Phillip to call any kind of exotic blitzes he wants because those guys can cover man-to-man out on islands. Or Sue, Aaron Donald, Brockers, that rookie D-end can get after the quarterback just rushing 4, and then you drop 7. So when you have either option, like the Jaguars have and had last year, like the Broncos have had, like the Seahawks when Legion of Boom had, great pass rushers and great corners, really, really tough to attack that kind of defense when they have that sort of versatility and flexibility. I think depth is still the concern for the Rams. They have so much top-end talent that occupied a lot of their finances, made it a bit tough for them to maybe, they have a lot of 90-plus A players and then more C players, not a lot of depth in the B player range. So we'll see how the Rams do throughout the year as long as they can stay healthy. But I think my guys, Ted Rath, Eddie Gray, great strength and conditioning staff, great athletic training department that the Rams have, will keep those guys healthy. Love watching the creativity of Sean McVay's offense, and very, very excited about 2018 for the Los Angeles Rams. So this was Beers with Chad. That was UFC 228 and week 1 of the NFL season. I'm going to be trying to do episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, comment, talk shit to me, whatever you want to do in the comments. Thanks for watching. Like the video, share it with a friend. Cheers. We'll see you next week.